Welcome to PTG TV. This is your host, Antonio Hicks, aka Escaping the Matrix. In today's Tech Talk episode, I welcome on a special guest, Mr. LeBarron Burton, CEO of Popcorn World and a tech junkie. LeBarron is someone who is inspired by tech, which has helped him build a huge international business. And he's done all of that initially from the handheld device, the computer that you all walk around with in your pocket and your purse, a Samsung Galaxy Note. So without you having to use a PC, a desktop PC at times. So I welcome LeBarron onto the show. I thank him for accepting my invite. I'm excited about the conversation. So welcome on, brother. Thanks for the invite. They accepting the invite, man.
Thanks for having me.
So tell the people a little bit about who LeBarron Burton is, because I'm gonna say who told me about you, but I'm gonna let you do your introduction first.
Okay, so I am LeBarron Burton. I am the owner of Popcorn World, really Burton Equity Group, which is the owner of Popcorn World, the world's largest popcorn store. We make over 250 flavors of gourmet corn. We carry probably about 85 to 130 in each one of our locations. We're a growing company. We blew up during the pandemic, online presence. I also am the president of a nonprofit child care center, where we're the largest in Northwest Indiana. My wife, she resides as the executive director, and I have a couple of other technology pieces that I have in the background. So I am just a serial entrepreneur who tech is my love. I love technology. I love any of those shiny things. So that's me in a nutshell. Father of 5, husband. That's me in a nutshell.
Right, because you got 5 girls, right?
No, Lord, no. I got some sanity there with 2 boys. So I got 3 girls, 2 boys.
So what got you into the popcorn business?
So, okay. The popcorn business was just something that was presented to me in 2013, 2014. Mm-hmm. I literally left the workplace. I used to work in a steel mill in 2004. Mm-hmm. And the day that my second daughter was born was the last day I punched the clock. And I had left. I had already wrote a business plan for social networking that is older than Facebook. Actually, at the time that I wrote the business plan, it was the MySpace time. Oh, God. And I wrote a business plan that probably to this day, I want to say is still 2 years more advanced than Facebook. I had conceived social media to be totally different, right? And that didn't happen. Found out in the urban community that technology was so far behind. I couldn't explain to people, or not explain, get people to understand that a free website would make a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. They just couldn't wrap their heads around it. It was the .com bust at that time. So a lot of people wasn't putting money into websites. Then from there, I started doing some technical consulting, but I hit a couple of bad deals. Mm-hmm. So my buddies came to me and said, hey, man, look, if we've made $1 million making popcorn and you haven't made $1 billion yet, you might as well come on with us and help us fix this company. And that's what I did. That's how I ended up in popcorn. 2014, we brought one. They started off down in Atlanta, Georgia. 2014, we brought a location to Illinois. Mm-hmm. And we went through a restructuring in 2015 where we rebranded. In 2018, they turned it over to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did they sell the stake to you, or they just turned it over to you?
They turned it over to me, and the reason was because the original business model they had like 20 licensees under them. Uh-huh. And we were Popcorn Haven at that time. Okay. And they had money coming in from those licensees, but they couldn't grow the brand from there. So when I explained to them, they had diluted the brand because the licensees all came under different names. Mm-hmm. So the only route out was to rebrand. And when they did the rebrand, they were gung-ho about it, but it was a realization that, wait a second, we're starting from zero again. That means we're gonna have to put the same energy into it to get to this point, of where we're already at. and we're trying to take it from this point to the next level, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So they were like, you know what, we don't have the energy. They had already started a ministry down in Atlanta, and they were like, look, if anybody's going to take this to the next level, it's going to be you. You take the business with all the debt, and we know that you can take it out. We'll keep whatever we make off the licensees that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever sell the business, you just know to, you know, cut us in. And that was the agreement.
Oh, wow. That's good. It's a blessing.
Yeah, definitely.
So you talking about MySpace. What was your social media idea? Because you know what? Because you're right. Because back then I had started a web company, and my company was more like something similar to YouTube. But I was doing the marketing and advertising for people online, and I was doing my whole thing was you market and advertise with me for free, and then you just pay me a portion of whatever the sales are. So I'm like, that way I'll do all the advertising stuff for you. I'll push your product and everything. I even did some video record, some commercials for people for free. This is before, you know, commercials online even took off anywhere. But like you said, it just never really came in there because ain't nobody really saw anything to come out of it until, you know, Google and everybody else did it. And that's when people want to get excited about getting online and advertising their business and stuff online.
Right. So I don't know if I have a little OCD or whatever, but MySpace used to just set me off because you would go to some pages and people's pages was immaculate, nice, clean, whatever. And then you go to some pages and it was like they put every widget, musical. I mean, it was just a nightmare, right?
Right.
So when I looked at it, I'm like, wow, this is great because MySpace was the first entrance outside of the chat rooms, you know, the old day chat rooms. So I just saw the possibilities and I'm like, oh my God, this is great, right? So my mind got to racing at the time. And a gentleman, now prior to MySpace, I had been introduced to voice over internet, okay? So I had voice over internet back in, I want to say 94, okay? I was able to, but no one knew about it, so I was only able to call people like, you know, family members that had computers, which was a limited amount of them, right?
Right.
So I saw that, and then somebody else introduced me to Ajax. I don't know if you remember what Ajax is, like a form of jQuery.
Yeah.
It was like the early form, you know. And when I saw at that time that you can interact with the internet in real time, right, in a browser, it just blew my mind. Because it was like, wait a second, you mean that I can literally move this from left to right and the person on the other end will see it happening?
Yep.
So when my mindset of social media was this, I went to Walmart strategy of making money, meaning that I would build all the users into their own influencers, right?
Right.
And in my vision, I hated Windows. From day one, I've always hated Windows. I've always despised it. I'm on a Windows computer right now. Why, I don't know, but I still to this day don't like Windows. Like I never go past my browser on this computer, right? But at that time I was like, you mean I can have someone open my website and my website will be their desktop, and I can create a social media in a way that this is what they would work from, right? I didn't, in my mindset, people wouldn't build their own website. They would build their page where they could hold files and everything else, okay, on this page. And where I could send, instead of Coca-Cola coming to me, the company, Coca-Cola would go to that user directly and pay that user. And the only thing that I would do is take pennies on the dollar. I would rather take pennies on the dollar from 1 billion users than to try to make 100,000 off one advertiser.
Right.
You know, so that was my thought behind social media. So like, you know, at that time, you know, I had the mindset that McDonald's would have their own page, right? And when McDonald's had their page, their users would be able to order via that page. You know, everything that's happening today, you know, with Grubhub and all of that, I had into the business plan. And I just learned through business that I was like way before my time. So now I understand why there was no high speed internet at the time. It was 56K.
Right. Yeah, it was still like dial up.
Exactly, dial up. So I learned that I was like way before the technology that was developed. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's where I was with social media at the time.
Yeah, we're in need of something new today. And I know other people have platforms that they're building, but especially like in the minority community, like I saw people talking about Black Twitter, and this guy I used to follow, he actually came up. I don't even know if he's still out there. I need to actually check and see, but he came up, actually wrote the code himself and made a Black Twitter. And he was pushing people over to it because I think this was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, people was pissed off at Twitter because they weren't really helping out the minority community, and they weren't really taking a stance against police brutality. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Some people was like, we need our own platform. So this guy built it and was telling people to come on, but you know how that goes when it comes to business. It's like I tell people all the time, I say, man, it's hard to pull people away from something they used to. I'm like, it's like telling people that grew up Christians that they can be a Muslim or any other religion. They're like, no, hell no. The only thing I know is what I know.
Right.
So yeah, I think it is time for a new social media platform, but it's like now, people, all the old heads are on Facebook, and everybody else is on Twitter, Instagram, and then some people on Snapchat, and I think that's the big ones.
And TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah. Yes, TikTok too. I forgot about TikTok. Yeah. And now even YouTube, because now YouTube is changing their stuff up to be more interactive, like the other social media platforms, where you're doing a little small snippet, like TikTok videos.
Right.
And that's really what they're pushing for content creators.
Right. Well,
to make a little small bit.
If I had the money, like if I had the money right now, and I hit billionaire status, I would literally go buy MySpace.
Justin Timberlake, he got it. Right. And they didn't do nothing else with it because he got it. And a lot of these young kids don't even know what MySpace is. And it was terrible because people would put viruses on their sites.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible. It was good, but it was terrible. It was our Facebook at the time, was older people. Yeah. Facebook at the time.
I would literally go buy MySpace right now. I would go buy MySpace because they had turned it into more of a musical interface. When he bought it. So I would buy it, and I would flip that musical interface, right? Because streaming music is where it's at right now.
It is.
And I would put the music in the hands of the individual artist, truly, not fake it like a lot of these companies are doing now.
Right.
But truly give it to the artist, and I would take pennies on the dollar like my original business plan was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, I would incorporate my vision from back in the day. I would incorporate that with MySpace. So I would gain the old heads because they all remember MySpace, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a great marketing ploy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would actually gear it to the urban community also because of the name MySpace, right?
Right.
And I would do it. There's two things that if I had the money to do today, I would buy MySpace and redo social media, and I would buy LG Mobile and produce a third operating system.
Yeah, because we desperately need that too. Like you and I talked about that. It's time for, because who was the Huawei? They have their own, but I don't think we'll ever see it over here in the States. Like Google and Apple got their own lockdown. So it is.
And Huawei has just pretty much been totally dismantled. I think they said that they're just going to strictly do software now, I think it is, or something like that.
I don't know, because they're one of the biggest phone manufacturers over there in China.
Oh,
no more?
Man, they're hurting.
Really?
Hurting. Yes, they're hurting. Because they can't do anything. All the hardware, like any company that they were trying to utilize, they can't really utilize anymore.
Oh, because of the whole the Android lockdown.
The Android lockdown, and then they went deeper with the hardware. Like any company that does any money with any other country that's connected to the U.S. cannot deal with Huawei. They paint a big red X on them and flag on them, and if anyone does business and they're anywhere connected to the U.S., like if you do business with a business that's connected with the U.S., you know, that has another business, those other businesses make you liable for Huawei's, you know, indiscretion.
That's janky, man. And I thought it was even shady for how, because my biggest thing is, like I told you, I'm in security. And they was talking about how they had a back door opened up for China. And I'm like, okay, well, no, fair enough. You can say that. What is it? Like, what's the port? Like, what if you know this, then tell all the, like, when all these security flaws and they start reporting out, oh, this China hacked this and Russia hacked that. One of the biggest things that we learn in security is the only way you can tell about if a country did something is the footprint they made using and that means a code. So typical code is written a certain way from different countries. And once an attack takes place, then that attack, it's effective. But they take that same code, and what they do is look at another code that attack comes out, and if it has the same similar code, then they determine, oh, this happened from China, oh, this happened from Russia, or this happened from Australia. This is where it's coming from. But these accusations from the past administration, and we didn't get no politics, but past administrations, they were blankly saying to these folks that China had a backdoor to this and Russia had a backdoor to that. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool, but let me see the report. Like, don't just tell me somebody has a back door open. Okay, let me see the report.
But this is the thing: they jumped on Huawei, but you don't see any Russian companies being shut down.
Nope.
You know?
Or even like Sony. So Sony had one of the biggest hacks, one of the largest hacks that took place, and they came from internal employees. They didn't shut Sony down.
Right.
Sony's still selling PlayStations and everything else. All these companies, AT&T, T-Mobile, all of them had major hacks and they have flaws in their system and their code and stuff. They didn't get shut down.
Yeah. But their whole thing was they were painting the picture that Huawei was owned by the Chinese government, and pretty much they were intentionally placing these ports in the hardware. And this is what it comes down to: 5G. The whole entire world is being built. The new interfaces, electric cars, autonomous driving is going to be dealing with the infrastructure of 5G.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to select who was going to build that out, who's going to have the dominance in that area. Ask yourself who's the new dominance in that area.
Who? Google?
Samsung.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, we did. Yeah, because all the connected devices and stuff. LG would have been next though, because you have a lot of LG products out there.
Yeah, but it's not the product. It's the guy that builds the antennas.
Samsung building antennas? Wait a minute, you trying to teach me something? Not me a telecom.
It's been so quiet. It's been so quiet. As soon as that happened with Huawei, Samsung was granted some huge deal for Samsung built their own 5G community in South Korea. You know, and you can look it up. Samsung got some major deal with the U.S. I think it was Verizon. It was the first one that turned the deal with Samsung.
I mean, I can believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of people don't even understand that stuff at cell towers aren't necessarily built by the company that owns them or is licensing them out. Exactly. It's other people's hardware that's in there.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of people don't know. So Huawei was the dominant, they were the dominant manufacturer of these 5G modems. Mm-hmm. So that's really where it came from. That's where the heart of this came from, was a 5G modem. And
they thought that because they think Huawei, or they want to paint the picture that Huawei is leaving the back door open for China. If they built their 5G network out here, China has access to all of the cars and everything across it, even though they're selling all the real estate to China.
So real hypocritical, right?
Right. You selling all the real estate to people in China. Like, we actually are in debt to China because we borrowed money from them. So you selling real estate to them, but then you shutting them out on the tech end of it.
Exactly. So it's who else had the gain from Huawei's failure other than Samsung? Because Samsung was fearing Huawei.
You said it was
fearing Huawei.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Huawei was coming for them. Matter of fact,
they was killing them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And Samsung couldn't do nothing. Right?
Yeah.
But now Samsung top dog again.
Yeah, because that's why I was like, what was it? A couple of years ago, Huawei had more devices because Apple was getting pissed off because they was trying to break into the market over there. But Huawei had the lead on devices that was spread out.
Down. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, now they got a scarlet letter on their back.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I'm not. Look, I was eyeballing those Huawei's too. They were some nice devices.
Man, like who was it? Infonix, something like that. I saw somebody did a review on that device. I'm sure Jay will pull deal with soon too. And it's almost like a Note, a Galaxy Note.
Yep.
And they're selling it for like, I think $300 or $400.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just sucks that we don't get to see half that tech over here in this country because they won't release it in this country.
Yeah.
You have to do international shipping.
That's the other thing. And Jay is real good about getting the imports. Because he'll go grab an import in a heartbeat. You know?
Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about Jay Williams. So Jay Williams is how I got introduced. Jay Williams is a big YouTuber, tech YouTuber. Good brother, love him to death. I had him on the show. So if you hadn't listened to the episode, I did a tech talk with Jay Williams in one of my other episodes, and he introduced me to LeBarron and told me that I need to get in touch with him because he's a big tech nerd, just like all the rest of us. And he'd be a good person to have on the show and have a good conversation with. So that's how I got to know LeBarron. And when we talking about Jay. So Jay Williams, yeah, he'll pull stuff from anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I like about Jay, because Jay is not gonna go just grab the newest and latest thing that everybody is talking about.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes I seen him, they'll release a new iPhone and he'll do a video on a Xiaomi phone.
Yeah, I was laughing at him about I was like, he was doing Metro PCS phone. I was like, or the Walmart phones. I was like, man, I like you. I said, because you cover all aspects of ranges of people income. Yeah. So you ain't hitting the big dollar stuff that you see a lot of big YouTubers. They focus on the stuff that costs like $700 a budget phone. $700 is not a budget phone for especially average Americans. That's only making $11 to $12 an hour.
And see, that's the thing that me and Jay talk about all the time too, is that the average. So I'm going to offend a lot of tech guys when I say this, but the average techie, on YouTube is so far disconnected from the average user that they don't, that they can't really speak on the average user. And what I mean is, if you're buying 3 or 4 devices per year, you're not average.
No.
You're nowhere near average, right?
Right.
Because the average user can't even really afford a $200 or $300 phone. Let's know I'm buying $1,000 to a $1,500 phone.
Right.
And if they buy that $1,500 phone, they better last them 5 or 6 years.
Right. They're going to hold on to it for a long time.
So that's the average user that I know, right? The average user that I know, and I live in Gary, Indiana. The average user that I know, although, with the payment plans and things that they've made available now, or how easy it is to get a payment plan, that you have more people that have access to devices than they did back in the day. But you go in the hood, everybody ain't walking around with an iPhone. They still got the Boost Mobile. Yep. They still got the Alcatels, and that's the thing. They're not when you speak of the average user, you got to go to the average user, Right. And most techies, they don't understand that.
No, because they highlight, and I mean, I guess it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing too, because it's almost like the whole market employed to where I'm going to sell you on something. It's super expensive, but me enticing you to do that might potentially put you in a debt that you don't necessarily have. And so it's like, at least with Jay, he's actually showing you the budget phones and actually showing you the difference between this low-end budget phone and the high-end expensive phone. Like he did one with the new OnePlus 9. I forgot who the other brand was, but it was like only worth like, it was not worth, but it cost like $300. And the $300 phones took better than the OnePlus 9 with their Hasselblad doggone cameras they have up in there now. Yeah. So I'm like, so, you know, but you wouldn't necessarily know that because, like you said, a lot of the big YouTubers, and ain't no disrespect against them, but all the big YouTubers, they review all the high end stuff. So you don't get to see that scope of, okay, well, granted, I would love to get a OnePlus 9, or I would love to get a Samsung S21 Ultra, or the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, or whatever new phone that's out, or the Samsung folding thing that costs, what is it, $1,500?
Yeah.
Or Jay's review of the the Microsoft tablet thing that's like what, $2,000-$3,000.
The Duo.
Yeah, the Duo. So, but it's like, okay, if I can't afford that, what other options do I have? Because they're not talking about the phones that I can go and afford. Like I can go into a Walmart and get some of their prepaid phones, or T-Mobile and get a prepaid phone, and I have to get the cheapest one they got. Like I don't get to see how those phones look before I actually go and make a purchase on it. I have to just go make a purchase and see how I like it myself. But at least he does that.
Yeah, and even more than this is that even the ones that can afford the flagship devices, right?
Mm-hmm.
They only use $300 worth of that phone.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So like, when I was doing consulting, like even just a year and a half ago, I had one of my old clients come to me and say, "Hey, I got to get a new computer. Can you at least send me a link for a new computer?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
The week prior, she was saying she needed a new phone. So I was like, well, I got to get a new computer. I said, "Do you still have the monitor from your old computer?" She said, "Yeah, everything works. The computer is fried."
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you what. Why don't you go out and get this Note 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Go get this Note 9, and I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. It's like, I'm not spending $1,000 for a phone. So how much you want to spend for a computer?
Right.
Said, about $700. How much you want to spend for a phone? About $400. Okay, $1,000 is gonna buy you both of them.
Right.
She didn't understand what I was talking about. Man, I tell you, when I showed her that she can connect that phone to a dock and run it as a desktop, because the only thing she was using was Word. That's all she was using. And people don't realize that these phones right here can process Word. I mean, these phones are the equivalent.
Or Google Docs.
But that's exactly.
Or Google Docs. And that's why I'm like what you did. Yeah, you helped her out. You killed two birds with one stone, because a lot of people, like you said, they aren't even using their laptops till its fullest potential.
Exactly. Most of them don't go past their browser.
No, or email. But you can get email on the phone. Exactly.
So, man, her whole world changed.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get that. So that's a conversation, you and I was having before about what is Samsung DeX. And a lot of people in the tech community, we was looking for something similar to that from the Linux community with the Ubuntu phones. Because we wanted something that we can have, like we have a 2-in-1. Plug your phone to a monitor, and now it becomes a full-fledged desktop that I can work from, do my applications from, and then once I unplug it, it goes back to being a regular old smartphone. Right. And even a regular smartphone is still a computer. Like a lot of people walk around, like in the conversation I had beforehand with my other guests on the show, we're talking about critical thinking and problem resolution. I'm like, you have computers in your pocket. Like you don't realize you really do have a computer in your pocket. This is faster than a lot of computers they even sell, desktops they sell today.
Probably
but I'm like,
half of them.
Right. Right. They don't think about the processors that's in them, the memory that's in them. Like you're getting phones now with 8 and 16 gigs worth of memory. You can't, it's hard. They starting out the cheaper laptops with 4 gigs. Like even the Chromebooks, what, 2 and 4 gigs.
Right.
So I'm like, so you get a Galaxy Note and you got Samsung DeX attached to it. Yeah, you can open up Google Docs, attach to a keyboard, a wireless keyboard, and you can work straight from there. And yes, Google Docs converts over to Microsoft Word, Excel, and everything else. So all you gotta do is export that file out, convert it over, and send it to whoever you're working with in a business relationship, in a business community, and it all looks exactly the same. Thank you for tuning into the first part of my interview with CEO LeBarron Burton of Popcorn World. Make sure to come back tomorrow to hear the rest of this great discussion.